This is my life, and I love it. Chainsaws and Ladders sounds like a really horrible 80s glam rock band, by the way. Hi there, yo folks. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and I'd like to welcome you back to another Work With Me Wednesday edition of the Modern Yeoman, where there's no music, there's no fancy editing, it's just you and me hanging out, getting stuff done here on the homestead, doing a bit of chatting while we do so. To those of you that wished Holly and I a recovery, I want to thank you. I think we're both past the worst of this nasty, gnarly chest cold that we've both been experiencing the past week. My voice is, it might not sound like it here, but my voice is definitely better than it has been, allowing me to talk to you guys. Also, we're feeling better too and able to sleep through the night without spending most of it trying to cough up the nastiness that's been residing in our chests. So thank you for your well wishes. I think things are definitely mending and getting better. Anyways, I've got a couple of projects that I need to take on today, and if you'd like to join me, grab a hot beverage and sit down, get comfortable, and let's go. Also, before we get into the big projects, I did have a question that maybe one of you guys could help me out with. I was getting some of this chicken feed the other day, and the thought occurred to me, this is chicken feed, whereas when I buy something for my pets, like my cats, it's cat food or pet food. The question occurred to me, what's the difference between feed and food? You buy feed for your chickens, for your livestock, for your cows, for your horses, but you buy food for humans and for pets. I'm curious where the Mason-Dixon line is between feed and food. I've talked to my dad and Holly about it, and between the three of us, none of us can figure out where the delineation lies, why you refer to one of those things as feed and the other one of those as food, and we think it has something to do with the difference between livestock and pets. You give your pets pet food. You give working animals, like livestock, feed. That's as close as we can come to it. But if anyone else out there knows if there's an official delineation between feed and food, we'd be very curious to hear what that official delineation is. By the way, you'll notice that I bought chick starter grower for my meat birds, my meat chicken food. And a lot of you might be wondering, well, like, why are you giving your meat birds chick food? Well, the answer is that's all they had at the store, in multiple stores, farm stores around this area. We cannot buy meat chicken food for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a low supply thing or a supply chain thing. I know that's been a hot topic. Everyone's talking about it lately. But for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we have not been able to get meat chicken food, only chick food. And the reason I go with chick food is because that's 20% protein, which the meat bird food has a higher protein than regular layer food. And as you can see here, so does the chick starter food. It's got a very high protein content. So that's what we've been giving the meat birds for the past, I don't know, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And they've been no worse for wear. There's been no complaints from them. They've gobbled that food up just as quickly as they would their regular quote unquote meat bird feed. Sorry. The very first project I'd like to take on today is trimming back part of this cedar. As you can see here, a lot of the branches are hanging over the metal roof of the south lean-to, which is not good for that metal roof. It causes rust, the needles build up, it adds a lot of weight to this side of the lean-to. I like the cedar in general. I don't intend on cutting the entire cedar tree down. I think it adds a lot. It brings shade to these chickens. But these branches hanging over the lean-to, they've got to go. So I'm going to try and get rid of most, if not all of them, that are actually hanging on the lean-to. Well, I think that's a pretty good start. All of the branches and needles that were touching the roof of the lean-to are no longer there. There's nothing touching the roof of the lean-to. So I removed all of those. You'll notice that there are some branches still touching the roof of the barn itself up there. And I was just going to go up there and whack those all down, but I decided not to because the chickens do really like hanging out under here in the summer. It kind of extends the shade of the lean-to. And so I like to have some shade up there. So, like I said, I was going to go up there and just chop those down. Then I realized that would probably remove most of the shade down here. So I need to be strategic about how I chop those branches up there so I can still have some shade down here. Some of this stuff, these branches that are sticking out here, I just need to come in and clear those out. That's going to be a more fine-tuned job, so I'll come in with the chainsaw or even the reciprocating saw and the Sawzall and get these separately. A lot of this fliff on the sides of the tree I'll get later. But the main task, the main objective, removing the branches that were clogging up the top of the lean-to, I've done that, and I'm pretty happy about it. And whenever you get a chance to bust out chainsaws and ladders, you take it. Chainsaws and Ladders sounds like a really horrible 80s glam rock band, by the way. So my next project is actually something that I don't think I'll be able to take on. It's something that future Sean will probably need to take on tomorrow morning. And that is to move the Kramer chickens out from their current spot underneath the north lean-to of the barn for two reasons. Number one, we're going to be doing chicken processing, the processing of the meat birds here in just a few weeks now. And I need the space for underneath the north lean-to. I need all that space. And number two, they've cashed this area out. As you can see, it's trampled over, it's muddy. We've been getting some rain, and that's just been adding to it. They've pretty much done all they can do on this grass, so they need some new pasture, as it were. So where I'm thinking of moving them is actually underneath this sycamore tree right here, this really pretty sycamore tree next to the current layers run. And so what this will do actually is give the Kramer girls, they'll still have a nice measure of overhang here for this sycamore tree. It's kind of hard to tell, but this area underneath the sycamore tree stays relatively dry in rain. This is actually a pretty decent overhang. It's really pretty too. So I think what I'll be doing bright and early tomorrow morning, future Sean, is moving their coop like right here, and then putting the fence around this area. They will be fairly close to our current layer flock. They'll have a little bit more eye-to-eye exposure to them, but I think that'll be okay. As long as they're separated by two fences, I think they'll be okay. Fighter might get a little jealous given the fact that he won't be able to go over there, but again, I think this will be good. And it's nice, fresh pasture for the Kramer girls to chew on. So I think I'm going to call it a day on my end and hand it off to future Sean bright and early tomorrow morning. Future Sean? Good morning, past Sean. Well, the sun has just started to rise. It's the morning after you were hanging out, and I think it's a good time for me to get started on moving that fence and the coop for the Kramer girls. Well, that worked out pretty well. I still have quite a bit of cleaning to do and tidying up here in the North Lean-To, because in a week and a half, 2 weeks, we're going to be processing the meat chickens here. So I want to tidy this space up and get it ready for that. But in the meantime, the Kramer chickens seem to be quite happy in their new digs over here. They've got new pasture to chew on. They're closer to the other chickens. I don't know if that really makes a difference for them, but it doesn't seem to be any tension between the two flocks here. And there's the meat chickens over there too, which all they really care about is food. But I mean, you can see them walking around this new grass. They're very happy. It wasn't too bad of a move. I had to do some exercise this morning, but I don't mind. I actually like it. I like getting up early and doing this kind of thing. And it's a beautiful morning out here on the pasture. One of my favorite things about doing the homestead thing is morning chores, believe it or not. I never thought that would be one of my favorite aspects of homesteading, is getting up early and doing morning chores. I know I'll be kicking myself in the future in the dead of winter and I have to get up and do morning chores, but for now, I mean, look at this, guys. This is my life, and I love it. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us today. I've got to take care of some of these other flocks. And until I see you guys on Sunday, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.